bum, 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 bum. Hola, hola. Um, so yeah, I'm just trying this out and we'll see how it works. I've been meaning to do this for a couple days, but yeah, so it's been just poor timing, me trying to figure out how the hell, when to do it, how the hell I wanted to set it up. I kept like missing sunlight because my lighting situation at my desk with my room isn't the greatest, so I wanted it to be sunlight, but then I kept missing it and I was like, you know what, screw it, I'm just gonna figure out something. So I have, so if my phone camera worked, I would take a picture of this hilarious setup I've got going here. um I basically have a little flexible tripod thing that I've clamped a Harbor Freight LED light thing to, and it's just on my monitor. Like I've the legs of the tripod are flexible, so it's just like glommed onto my monitor, and it's like sketchy sort of like lighting here. So if you see multiple shadows, that's because we've got the overhead light in my room, which is that way, and then up here, sorry, we've got my sketchy jury rigged light. But trust me, the lighting's a lot better than it was before I rigged this up. It's still not the greatest, but hey, it's what you get. And this is also what happens when I have orange walls. And orange walls are, you know, they fuck with color. So this isn't going to be a totally accurate. What's happening here is I've played with the idea of maybe doing ink reviews. And in terms of ink reviews, I mean more throwing writing sample references up on a blog, not on Instagram, because Instagram doesn't play well with Google and all the other search engines out there. Like, you don't get individual Instagram posts coming up in results. So if someone's Googling an ink to see what it looks like, they're not going to get your fancy Instagram posts. And so this would be just basically me throwing up writing samples of inks I have just because I have them. But the main purpose of this is since I graduated from grad school in December, I haven't used my pens and inks nearly as much as when I was in grad school, which makes sense. And I miss using them. So this is a way for me to actually use my pens and inks more. And also what I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of take the... So what Mountain of Ink does is she does long writing samples and is copying pages and is basically copying The Hobbit. That's lovely. What I'm going to do is actually copy articles from my local newspaper, the Atlanta Journal-Constitution. I've subscribed to it for a couple of years now with the digital access because I support local journalism, but I just have fallen off on actually reading it, and I want to get back into actually reading it. So by this ink review thing is more a vehicle for me to, one, read my local newspaper, and two, use my pens and inks. And I might as well create a resource that I throw up there somewhere, somehow, at the end of it, because I like distributing and getting more information out there. That's me as a scientist. But yeah, so what I'm planning on doing is a lot of ink reviews will show you what things look like in multiple different pens or like nib sizes. I have a very specific type of nib size that I like, which tends to be fines and extra fines, maybe a flex once in a while, but I don't have a very wide range in widths in my pen collection. So I decided to do a pen in terms of different pen reviews for writing. Basically what I would consider on my collection a wet writer, a normal writer, and a dry writer. So that's my Pilot Custom Heritage 92 is going to be my wet writer. My Waterman Hemisphere is going to be my normal average writer, and my Parker 45 is going to be my dry writer. And then I want to do it in a couple different papers. First off, I want to do my Hippo Noto because, again, I've had this. I was a backer of the cream, so I've had mine since October, and it's languished because it's just I haven't used it. So this is again a way to use my Hippo Noto, use the stuff I'm not using. And so that's a Tomo River and a cream background. Then I would want to use this Kokuyo campus notebooks, B5. I bought a pack of these to use as lab notebooks. But then it turns out I didn't stay long enough and burn through enough lab notebook paper to actually touch the 5-pack I got. So I have these Kokuyo B5 campus notebooks. And so this feels more representative of kind of your average average nice paper. It's not as coated and slippery as Rhodia Clairefontaine. It's a little not as bright white. But this is going to be more on par with your Lloydstrom, with probably your Write notepads, anything that's like nicer paper, but not like only fountain pen friendly. Like this also works well with like rollerballs and gel pens and pencils and stuff. And then I do have this tiny little Rhodia book that I bought and then never ended up using. So again, the theme is using shit I don't actually use, like actually using it up. And so I'm going to use this just to write kind of the details of each pen and ink. So like write the ink name and the pens and stuff and give you little scribbles to see how it looks. And then in the Kokuyo and the Tomo River are where I will show you the longer writing samples. And I did make a little blog. So that's basically shit I would throw on Instagram, but that way it's in a blog form so people can search for it. Not much writing, lots of pictures, because writing just means I'm gonna never post anything. I'm good at posting pictures. I'm terrible at posting written bits. It's just a thing I've learned about myself. But yeah, so however, with this little one, what I want to do is get a pretty accurate representation of what the writing looks like, not from a fresh fill, because in a fresh fill things tend to be more, there's a lot more flow and it's more saturated, more wet than it is after you get through that primed feed. So I'm actually, in terms of when I post the blog, this on the Rhodia pad, my little info is going to be what's first, but this is actually once I wanted this to be the last thing that I do in terms of writing samples. First I want to do the Tomo River because I find that fresh feed saturation doesn't make a huge difference in what it looks like on the paper for Tomo River as it does in something like this Kokuyo. So I'm going to do this first, and then the Kokuyo, and then my Rhodia. And what I'm going to try and do... I don't know what happened here. There's some weirdness. Interesting. So yeah, I've got some... You can see I got about 40 pages in with my journaling before I gave up the ghost. Yeah, and I'll probably do one-sided so I can show you bleeding and stuff like that. But yeah, so that way I can... So I'm gonna write on here. I haven't actually, what I want to do is divide up the page into thirds. I haven't actually done that counting yet. So we're gonna do that now. I'm probably gonna mark it off with a pencil. Where's the pencil? Okay. So we've got 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay, so we've got 25 lines. So I'm probably going to do 8 lines of each then. Mm-hmm. And I'll probably end up erasing this afterwards. Where's my blotter paper? There's my blotter paper. Bromfield Pen Shop gives you these little cards. So Bromfield Pen Shop is a pen shop in Boston. I love them. My brother goes to school in Boston. Well, he graduated in May, but now he's working in Boston. He lives in Boston. I visit, you know, once a year or so, once every couple years. And every time I go up, I try and hit up Bromfield because they're awesome. And when you buy a pen from them, they give you this little how-to fountain pen thing. That's actually blotter paper cut to A5. The Hippo Noto is A5-ish, not exactly A5, so you could see it overhangs a bit. But I'm going to use this under my hand because I have really gnarly hand oils that love to fuck up paper. Now I gotta bring up here the article that I am... Oh, the ink I'm using is Colorverse Dark Energy. I inked this up a couple days ago in these pens. So, yeah. So they've just been kind of sitting here. That's why I'm not inking them up now. Forgot how crinkly Tomoe is, which is why you need the foam eraser if you are using pencil, because that doesn't have as much friction needed to erase. See, I don't even know how I want to format my stupid. Also, if I'm watching the chat via Streamlabs OBS, not the actual YouTube page. So for all I know, you guys could be chatting something, and if there is anyone here besides myself, which I'm not sure, the YouTube numbers are janky. But yeah, if you could throw something up in chat, that'd be nice. But yeah. Trying to decide what order I want to do these in. If I want to go wet, medium, dry, or dry, medium, wet. I might do... You know what? Most of these go like thin to thick, so the equivalent of that is going to be dry. Dry to wet. So I will say that Colorverse Dark Energy doesn't play real well with pens that are dry. It definitely, this is not very enjoyable. This is much nicer than just a regular flow nib. I really like it in this one. Yep, this is lovely in a really wet nib. And you can see a lot more of the fun sheening properties in this. Which, I mean, it's Tomoe River, so of course you're gonna see that, but still. So I'm gonna just set this aside and let that dry. And then we're gonna move on to this one. Need to do the accounting. Oh wait, no I don't, because Kokuyo is nice and like gives you markers as to how many lines are where, because the Japanese are apparently anal about stuff like that. So there are 35 lines per sheet. So I'd probably knock that down to 34. And then if I divide that in half, that's 17. Nah. I guess I could do 5 lines each. That actually makes it easier. Yeah, and that gives me room too. Okay, cool. So what I'm going to do with these, because these are B5, which is huge, I'm going to do half a page for ink review. And so what I'm going to do is, because there are 7 5-line blocks, is I'm going to do 3 for one ink review, then leave 1 blank, or use that as the header for the next 3. Okay. You know what? Instead of doing that, join me in learning how I want to format these damn things. Very exciting. Interestingly, this is already feeling better in the dry pen on the Kokuyo versus the Tomoe River. So I don't know if it's just because this is a little more absorbent or what, but they... Yeah, this was a lot better on this paper than it was on the Tomoe River, which is weird. Still lovely in the Waterman. also lovely. I just love my Pilot Custom Heritage 92, just in general. Yeah. So this is actually not taking nearly as long as I expected it to, which means that I'm more likely to continue doing it, because anything that takes this shit ton a long time, I'm not as likely to do, because ADHD, finger guns. Okay. So now we just got our little tiny ass, like, look at this thing. This thing is stupid tiny. I was hoping my pilot would tell me what if it's like 18K or 14K, but I don't remember, so I'm just gonna write gold. Cool. So that didn't take nearly as long as I thought. The conclusion I would draw is that Colorverse Dark Energy is lovely in wet pens. Probably best. It's pretty darn good in regular flow pens. Dry pens, it's not, you're gonna be disappointed. You don't want to put this in any of your dry pens. It needs some flow going there. In terms of paper, I'm not seeing as much of the fun sheen that I know this has on Rhodia. Definitely seeing the fun sheen on Tomoe River because it's Tomoe River. And also seeing it a little bit on the Kokuyo. It looks about equally good on cream and white, but I also really like cream paper, so I'm probably biased. I'm not gonna do any sort of water tests or dry times or anything because I don't really care about that shit. I mean, I care about water fastness professionally, but that's what I have Noodler's Black for. I'm not gonna bother taking this into the lab. You can Google other ink reviews for that stuff if you care about it. I do not. This is to give you long writing samples, what they look like in various wetnesses of pens with similar nib sizes and on different papers. Cool. So I'm gonna sign this off then, and then probably do some scans. and photo editing and stuff like that. Because I also took some nail polish pictures. Look, it's shifty. It goes from green to purple. Because I'm also doing that on the blog. Again, just basically porting my Instagram photos to something that is Google searchable, because I've discovered that apparently I have very different tastes in nail polish than most of the nail polish bloggers. So it was really hard for me to find swatches. That's swatches of the nail polish outside of what was on the company sites for some of the ones I ordered. So yeah, cool. So yeah, I'll sign off. Thank you for joining me. Thank you for anyone who's watching this post hoc. The blog where I'm going to be posting this is fairly straightforward. It's bijou3owl.wordpress.com, because Squarespace is an ass. Like, seriously, we used Squarespace for BYOB and I hated it. Hated every second of it. Oh god. It's like the Apple of websites. It's very hard to break if you're new to it, but if you want to customize it at all, it's so hard. So hard. WordPress is so much better at that. Thank you. Okay, I'm going to sign off now before I go on a rant.